Imagine a college campus, a place of learning, growth, but hidden away, there's this different kind of struggle happening, a struggle for survival.
Hmm.
And for years, one person, just one community member, has been meticulously documenting this hidden world, really shining a light on, well, the plight of a specific group living there.
Exactly. So today, we're not digging into academic theories. We're taking a deep dive into some pretty disturbing allegations about the community cat colony at Cypress College in California.
Yeah, and these aren't just like random complaints. Our main source is this blog, Cats of Cypress College. It's incredibly detailed personal observations, photos, documented run-ins with campus safety, animal control. It covers years of incidents.
That's right. So our mission today is really to unpack these accounts. We want to understand the challenges these cats are reportedly facing, look at the specific incidents described, and also the ongoing efforts of this individual trying to advocate for them. Right. We'll explore the allegations against the college itself, what their official policies are supposed to be, and the calls for action from the person behind the blog.
And what we'll uncover, I think, are some really critical insights into institutional responsibility, or maybe the lack thereof, the impact of alleged inaction, and just the sheer power and maybe frustration of persistent individual advocacy.
It's pretty striking, isn't it? How one person's dedication can bring an unseen campus issue right into the spotlight and create this vital record of what seem to be systemic problems.
Absolutely. And the story that really anchors so much of this narrative, it's the story of a cat they called Black Mama. Her experiences kind of exemplify the challenges these animals face.
Okay.
So back in February 2023, Black Mama, she was a well-known cat in the colony, she went missing February 15th.
Right. And what happens next is, well, it's almost cinematic, as the blog describes it. 4 days later, her kitten, described as devoted, actually leads the blogger to Building 34.
Which is the college's maintenance building. And sure enough, Black Mama was trapped inside.
So the blogger calls campus safety.
Mm.
And the request seems simple, right? Just open the big garage door, let the cat walk out calmly.
Yeah, just let her leave. But that's reportedly not what happened. Instead, officers allegedly went inside, made a lot of noise, apparently even threw water at her to try and, quote, roust her out.
Wow. And the vlogger quotes an Officer Martinez saying something like, "We can't waste resources on a stray cat."
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
So Black Mama, terrified, ends up hiding deep inside some industrial vented wall. It took 17 days of the blogger checking, leaving food nearby, until she finally escaped.
And she was described as extremely emaciated, skinny as a rail. But the colony's reunion was apparently joyous.
Yeah, they think she might have survived by finding water from, like, a roof leak or something inside.
Incredible resilience. But, looking bigger picture, this incident right away highlights what the blogger sees as a systemic issue. A situation that could have been fixed in minutes becomes this awful 17-day ordeal because of, well, what's described as a lack of humane action by the college.
It definitely sets a worrying tone. And tragically, Black Mama's story doesn't end there. Not even close.
Oh, no.
After she recovered, she got pregnant again. Gave birth to 7 kittens around August 9th, 2023. But just a week later, August 16th, the blog describes something truly horrific.
Yeah, what happened?
Black Mama was found, quote, mortally wounded and in shock. On closer look, it seemed like she had what appeared to be a broken back and blunt force trauma to her left side in the shape of a square, probably a garden rake.
A garden rake. Oh, my God. And the blog mentioned another cat, Simon, suffered something similar. Rake puncture wounds to his neck, piercing his spine.
Yes, that's what's reported. It's
It's
just
made it up.
awful. And despite this terrible condition, the blog says Black Mama was still trying to care for her kittens under this Red Cross container.
That's heartbreaking.
The next day, August 17th, this really serious wound, maybe 4 inches long by 2 inches wide, was clearly visible on her side. Again, the blogger suspected a rake.
So the injury wasn't obvious the first day.
Apparently not, based on the blog's description and photos. It suggests maybe the initial shock masked it, or it worsened rapidly. A Cypress safety officer actually tried to help the blogger catch her, get her medical help, but she was just too terrified of people by then.
Understandable, given what she'd potentially been through.
Later that day, she disappeared. And the kittens, they could be heard screaming. The blogger concluded she must have died.
Oh, that's gut-wrenching after everything she survived. So the kittens, what happened to them? How did the blogger even cope with that?
Well, this is where the story shows incredible determination, I guess. The blogger didn't just despair, they immediately took action.
What do they do?
They apparently fashioned this rescue tool right there using garden supplies. A 10-foot plastic rebar garden stake with a metal bent-over lasso at the end. Really ingenious, actually.
Wow, okay. Like improvising on the spot.
Exactly. And then over 2 hours, painstakingly calling, coaxing, and gently pulling out all 7 tiny week-old kittens from under that container.
2 hours. That's incredible dedication, especially after finding Black Mama like that.
Then, of course, the next challenge, getting kitten formula, bottles late at night, stores are closed.
Right. What happened then?
Luckily, Orange County Animal Care OK Officer Joe showed up around 10 p.m. The blog gives his activity number, A23016768. He was apparently dealing with a mountain lion call, too, but he assured the blogger he'd make sure the kittens got fed.
It's good to hear. Did he follow through?
Yeah, the blog notes he even called back at 1 a.m. to follow up. And ultimately, the kittens were placed with the foster family for that crucial 24/7 bottle feeding.
Which just highlights the immense burden, right? The specialized care needed. This whole rescue, the feeding, the fostering, it all fell on the blogger, Okion, this foster family. Potentially because, as the blog argues, the college wasn't managing the situation humanely in the first place.
It's a clear example of that shift in responsibility you mentioned. And Black Mama's story, as harrowing as it is, isn't presented as just a one-off tragedy. The blog points to a broader pattern, which brings us to these allegations about trap and kill operations and traps just being left unattended.
Okay, like what specifically?
Well, going back to February 2023 again, around the time Black Mama was first trapped, on February 3rd, after 5 p.m. on a Friday, a young cat identified as one of her kittens was found trapped in that same maintenance yard.
After hours on a Friday.
Hmm.
And the blog specifically names an employee, Tim Noriega, as being responsible for setting these traps, often secretly.
That's the allegation, yes. And critically, the trapped kitten had no food or water, just left there.
Again, indicating a real lack of care. So the blogger found it, then what?
Called Campus Safety, called VP Steven Schoonmaker. No return calls reported. Eventually, OCAIC Officer Jay Ramirez came out case number A23001994. Ramirez observed the situation, saw the kitten wasn't being cared for, no one from the college was taking responsibility, so he released it.
Just let it go because it was basically abandoned in the trap.
Right. And get this, the blog adds another detail. While the blogger was video recording the officer, a Cypress College maintenance worker allegedly slapped their hand and told them to stop filming.
Whoa. That suggests real tension, hostility even.
Definitely seems that way. And the follow-up is tragic. That Monday, February 6th, a dead cat was found. It was either that same kitten or its sibling.
And the cause of death?
OCAC officially said unknown. But the blogger strongly suspects blunt force trauma, not coyotes, and they connect this back to another cat, Winter, found with a broken neck just a month earlier in January 2023.
So a potential pattern of unexplained deaths, suspicious injuries, coupled with these trapping allegations,
Yeah.
it paints a very disturbing picture.
It really doesn't. It doesn't stop there. Fast forward to June 2024, another unattended trap incident.
Okay.
Friday, June 21st, a trap is seen set in the northern enclosure area. By Saturday the 22nd, it's triggered. An opossum is inside.
And it was left unattended.
Potentially for 24 hours, the blog suggests, in 90-degree heat.
Oh, that's awful. Just cruel, leaving any animal like that.
OCAC Officer T. McKee, badge number 26, incident A24012736, came and released the opossum. And again, the blogger implicates Tim Noriega, noting traps are often set beyond the cameras.
And raises that really critical question. Okay, let's say they had caught a cat on a Friday evening or over the weekend. What's Cypress College's actual plan? Is there an animal hospital on standby for spay-neuter? Because without that...
Exactly. What happens to the cat? The blogger calls it another catch-and-kill operation that thankfully failed this time, but they also noted a cat was missing from the colony that same Saturday evening.
So all these specific troubling incidents, Black Mama, the unattended traps, the dead kittens, what does this tell us about the bigger picture, the college's policies, their accountability?
Well, that's where there's a major disconnect, according to the blog. The blogger has repeatedly pleaded for Cypress College to implement a proper track-neuter return program, TNR.
Right, TNR. For listeners maybe not familiar, that's the standard humane approach. Trap feral cats, get them spayed or neutered and vaccinated, then return them to their territory, where they live out their lives without reproducing.
But Cypress College allegedly refuses. Their stated policy, according to the blog, is to trap, spay-neuter, and get the cats adopted.
Okay, trap and adopt. On the surface, that might sound good to some people, maybe even better than TNR. But what's the practical reality for a colony of feral cats on a campus?
That's the crucial point the blogger makes. It sounds nice, maybe, But trying to adopt out truly feral cats, cats not socialized to humans, it's incredibly difficult. The adoption rates are near zero.
Right. They aren't house pets. They're wild animals,
Yeah.
essentially, living in a community setting. So an adopt-only policy becomes a bottleneck.
Exactly. The blogger calls the policy ridiculous because there's just no market for adopting feral cats. And without TNR, what happens? You get hundreds of kittens born into these horrible conditions.
So the policy, as alleged, doesn't actually solve the population problem, and it arguably leads to more suffering. It kind of kicks the can down the road or shifts the burden onto individuals or outside groups like OCAC. Is it a policy for real results or just for appearances?
A really pointed question, and the blog reinforces this by mentioning two new litters born just the week of June 22nd, 2024, plus two more pregnant females. The problem isn't going away.
No, it sounds like it's actively growing.
And the allegations expand beyond just trapping policy. There are general claims of campus-wide animal cruelty by Cypress College employees, specifically naming Tim Noriega again, this time for allegedly destroying water dishes left out for the cats.
Destroying water sources.
Mhm.
Wow. Although the blog does note later that someone put new watering containers inside that northern enclosure, maybe after a complaint about Noriega.
True, but it then points out the water gets hot because it's only accessible by crossing sizzling hot asphalt. So maybe a step was taken, but it wasn't exactly a well-thought-out, humane solution for the cats.
It suggests, maybe, a lack of real understanding or concern for the animal's actual needs. Just checking a box, perhaps.
Perhaps. And the blogger doesn't just blame individuals. They accuse top leadership President Scott W. Bayer, VP Stephen Schoonmaker, head of safety Craig Lee, of basically condoning this, or at least being aware and doing nothing effective.
And there are even claims of retaliation, a revenge strategy by campus safety against the blogger, like ticketing their cars specifically for reporting employees.
Yeah, that's in there too. It suggests a really difficult, even hostile environment for someone trying to advocate for these animals.
And this highlights a huge challenge when you're dealing with institutions, doesn't it? Proving wrongdoing, getting internal action. The blogger expresses intense frustration, saying the college seems to need like video proof from an eyewitness before they'll even consider doing anything.
And even then, quote, there doesn't seem to be any consequence for employees while on the clock committing acts of cruelty.
That alleged lack of consequences is really concerning. It can create a sense of impunity.
So, faced with all this alleged resistance and these documented incidents, what's the call to action from the blogger? What do they want to see happen?
It's pretty direct. They appeal straight to Cypress College to stop allowing their employees to harm community cats, and crucially, to become responsible stewards by finally implementing trap-neuter-return.
Makes sense. Control the population humanely.
Right. They also invite students on campus to basically be more eyes and ears, to watch what employees are doing, kind of like community oversight.
And they provide contact info.
Yes, very specifically. They share the email and phone number for President Scott Thayer, stayer@cypresscollege.edu, and the number 712-484-7308.
Putting it right out there.
Exactly. It really shows the power and the determination of individual advocacy trying to force change, even against what seems like significant institutional pushback, making it clear who they believe needs to be held accountable and how others can voice their concerns too.
Okay, so we've really covered a lot of ground here. We've navigated this very complex, often quite heartbreaking account of alleged animal cruelty and institutional inaction at Cypress College, all through the lens of this one dedicated community member's blog.
Yeah, from the really tragic story of Black Mama to these ongoing worries about trapping practices, the lack of TNR,
Mm-hmm.
it highlights this profound struggle for the welfare of these campus cats.
And what this deep dive shows us, I think, are some stark realities about the challenges of managing animal welfare in an institutional setting, the perceived impact when administration seems indifferent, and just the incredible, often lonely effort involved in dedicated advocacy.
Mm-hmm. And this isn't just about Cypress College, is it? It raises much bigger questions about the responsibility institutions, universities, businesses, government bodies have towards the living beings sharing their space.
Right, and the power, but also the deep frustration individuals face when they try to shine a light on these issues and push back against entrenched problems or policies.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think about the ethics behind policies that might prioritize convenience or maybe cost-cutting over the actual humane treatment of animals, and the real-world consequences when those policies are allegedly implemented poorly or without compassion.
So here's something to think about. If knowledge is most valuable when we understand it and apply it, What responsibility do we have as informed people when we encounter documented allegations like these? Allegations of animal suffering, institutional negligence, whether it's right in our backyard or somewhere else.
That's a great question. What specific actions might you, the listener, consider taking if you encountered something similar in your own community or workplace? And how would you weigh the potential impact of speaking up as an individual against the often considerable power of an institution?
Definitely something to mull over.